My name is Sherry Castro, and I teach 7th grade math at Wallace Middle School. This is my 8th year of teaching, first year in 7th grade, which has been a transition. I just always loved math. As a kid, I guess I didn't know that I wanted to be a teacher, but math was easy for me. And then I remember my last year in high school, I was in pre-cal, and the teachers were just very show your steps. It had to be exactly how the teacher was showing it or teaching it. And I remember kids struggling, which I never really struggled a lot in math, but I remember other kids struggling. And so I was like, I think of this differently. I could show you a different way to do this of how I'm thinking about it. But the teachers were just like, no, this is the way you have to do it. And you have to show these steps. And I guess I just didn't like that. Mm-hmm. And so when I decided to go into education, math was the only avenue for me. That was what I wanted to do. I wanted to make math easy for kids, make math accessible. And my goal as a teacher is if they're not understanding what I'm saying or how I'm teaching it, I have to rethink it and give it to them in a different way that's going to make sense to them, because I want it to make sense. I think when I realize a kid isn't understanding what I'm teaching, just to take it back to something more concrete for them. For example, a kid was doing a problem where they had to add two numbers. And they had done all this math for finding area of different shapes, and they had to add them together. And all their work was great, but that adding part, because one of them had a decimal and one of them didn't. And so they added it, and she was just like, this doesn't make sense. And I was like, oh, I'm so glad you realize your answer doesn't make sense. So let's turn it into money. If this was dollars and cents, how much money would you have? And then what would this look like in money? And then she realized oh, I've got to add the dollars together, right? The whole numbers, where she was trying to add whole numbers and decimals together. And so just trying to take it back to something that makes more sense. We use a lot of big numbers once we get into middle school, right? So taking it back to an easy number. And if you had these numbers, what would you do to get your answer? Where they could do more of a mental math approach, and then they're like, okay, well, that was the right answer. So what did you do? Oh, I subtracted. Okay, well then let's apply that to this situation, because it's the same situation, just bigger numbers. I always start off the year asking them, we go through the whole surveys of kids and kind of those get to know you questions. And one of the questions is, do you like math or not? And it's okay to say, no, I don't like math, or no, I'm not good at math. And I tell the students, I don't expect at the end of the year that you're oh my God, I love math now. That's not my goal. My goal is to help you realize that you can do math. You can do it. You may not like it. It may not be your favorite subject, and that's okay, but you can still do it. I have a kid in class who struggles with math this year, and we were working on percents, and he was just nope, this is not for me. I just don't get it. I don't get it. And so we just kept working with it. Okay, well, do this one step. Can you do this? Can you find this? Can you find 50%? We understand 50% is half. Can you find 50%? Yeah, I can do that. Okay, so every time you get a percent problem, I want you to find 50%. And he does. He finds 50%. Okay, now we're really good at that. Now let's work on 10%. Now that we know how to get 50%, let's try another number. And every time you get a problem, you find 50%, you find 10%. And from there, we're able to build up what he was doing. And so we just took our CBA, and he did great with working on his own for that percent problem, doing multiple different percents, and he was able to be successful with it. So they come in having that feeling of I can't do this. And if I can show them yes, you can do, let's do this one step, and then we'll build on that and give them that success, then they feel more confident in what they're doing. When I was student teaching, actually, I got really frustrated with a kid who was sleeping in class. And the next day, the kid came back with a letter in his hand, and the letter said that they had to move out in the middle of the night, and so he was up all night packing and moving out of his apartment. And I felt like a horrible person, but it taught me a very valuable lesson that these kids have things going on in their lives that we don't know. And so when they're sleeping in class, or they're tired, or they're not getting it, or they're having a bad day, just to be understanding of that, and not I can easily say, no, it doesn't matter, just do your work. If their mind is so far somewhere else, they're not getting it anyways. Just having that understanding of these are kids, and they have things going on. And yes, I think relationships in middle school are silly, but they don't. And when they get hurt by somebody, they feel that. And so not brushing it off as insignificant, because it is significant to them. That it's okay to teach outside the box. Yes, there's methods that we learned as kids in school, and there's new methods that kids are learning, and learn those new methods and see if it works and does it make sense and does it make the math easier for students, even if it wasn't the way that we learned it or if there's pushback from other people.
She's really good at teaching, and she doesn't put us on the Chromebook without telling us what to do.
Miss Castro is a very nice teacher and will always help me with my work, even though I struggle sometimes in her class. She will always help others in need.
I like that Lizzie helps us, and if we don't get it, she doesn't get mad or frustrated with us. She just sits down and really talks us through it until we get it.
She's nice, she gets to help me. She puts stuff in ways I can understand it.